Hello, this is High Templar with my new Total War Warhammer DLC speculation video, and today we'll be talking about Skaven army. Now, Skavens are just such a wonderful little scheming creatures, and they have actually quite interesting arsenal in their army. They have some drawbacks like any other army, but yeah, you will see soon enough. So let's start with rank and file units that are considered the core in tabletop. We have clan rats. Now, clan rats, they technically fight as well as humans. However, their morale is on the low side. In this way, I believe they will be similar to night goblins. And I would venture a guess we will most likely get a similar unit, 160, 400 about cost, low morale, without poison, but slightly better fighter. That's how I would see them. And there is pretty much nothing else to say about them. Then we have Skaven slaves. Now those guys are very bad, like very bad. But there is like lots of them. And yeah, I would see them as zombies. I mean, yeah, maybe slightly better than zombies, but zombies has that advantage they don't run. And with Skaven slaves, their purpose in the game is pretty much the same as zombies. They are there to die. Not really to hurt anyone, that's not really the point. So depending on their leadership and their stats, I don't know, I mean, there will be 160 of them in a unit. So there will be pretty much 160, like, you know, with zombies and skeletons, for example. I mean, yeah, like skeletons would be clan rats and zombies would be Skaven slaves. I am feeling like 150 to 100. I mean, probably 150 is a better choice because it's no Skaven army without Skaven slaves, really. And their low leadership would make their main purpose a bit harder to achieve. I think the creative assembly will make them 200 if they do implement them. I mean, in Orcs and Goblins there are Snotlings and they didn't make into the game. But it would be really cool if they did put them in a game and put some very low unit cost. Actually, most of the Skaven units are very cheap and there is many of them. So that's kind of a theme here. Then we have Storm Vermin. Those guys are your proper decent infantry, or as decent as it can be for Skaven. I would see them as 120 unit in ultra settings with 600 cost probably, or 700. I mean, they are not really Chaos Warriors, you know. They are like decent, but not that decent. I would probably see them as 600 unless Creative Assembly will change their stats a lot or make it 160 unit. No, I think they will be 120 and I think they will be 600 and that's pretty much it. And it's a bit sad because this is like, yeah, the strongest standard infantry that the Skaven have. And every other race have something bit better. I mean, I wouldn't be bad if they would make 160 unit that costs like 900 and it's like a really decent unit that can stand up to, say, Greatsword or Graveguards or, yeah, even Chaos Warriors. Because of the numbers, not because of the stats. That would also be interesting. I just don't think that will actually happen, but I would like that. Then we have Night Runners. Night Runners, this is your stalking units, and there could be implemented in two ways. I mean, normally in tabletop they do have a throwing star that they, throw at people when they are close. Probably the same range as javelin, maybe 90, probably 90, maybe 80, maybe 90, something like that, if it will be implemented. And if it will be implemented, it will be most likely 90 or 100 model unit, costing about 500, I want to say. But they might be implemented as pure melee. I wouldn't like that very much. I mean, we recently received militia, which is a combined unit. I don't really like the idea behind that. I do feel like units that have both melee and range capabilities should be more like agrarians in Rome. They are as good as a range unit, but they are also decent in melee, but they cost more, right? So I like that a bit more. But yeah, maybe, I don't know, we will see. If there won't be throwing stars there, probably 120 unit with stalk and 500 cost. I would seem, I don't know. Then we have another unit that will I think it will make into the game. These are giant rats. Now, the problem with those guys is they don't really serve a purpose. But I can say same thing about skeleton warriors. Yeah, ghouls will do it better, but their cost is small. But at the same time, you have zombies, so giant rats are pretty similar. They are beasts, but they are not particularly fast, not particularly good at anything. They could be like a horde unit of 160, 120, costing not that much. Yeah, maybe we will see. How to save out the cost? We will have to see how effective they are and how many they are. If it will be 80 model unit, that would be probably around 200. If that will be 160, there will be a lot more. Then we have a unit that I'm pretty sure won't be coming into the Total War Warhammer, and that is Rat Swarm. Similar as Scarabs? No, I don't think so. No, not going to happen. They're just too small. Will be hard to implement them. So let's go to things that are really interesting, and I'm really puzzled about how would Creative Assembly implement those guys, because there are generally 4 types of weapon teams, and those guys are normally attached to your rank and file units. But there is like 4 types of them. So I don't really believe there will be implemented as upgrade. There will be a possibility to add them to your normal clan rat units or storm vermin. They will most likely be implemented as a separate unit. Maybe 24 units, maybe 24 models in a unit. Yeah, I think something like that. 24. I mean, might be less, but I don't know. And we will have few of them. These guys are poison wind mortars. They basically carry mortars on their back, and those are glass cannons with poison. I mean, glass balls with poison. They shoot it. It lands in the midst of your enemy, and well, basically poison them. Would be interesting to see how this will be implemented. Those guys will probably be quite cheap, like around 600. Then we will have, and in tabletop they do have a chance of, you know, dropping that ball, which is pretty bad. Maybe not for them, but for the guys around it. I would be really happy to see that mechanics in the Total War, because Skaven are a lot about, you know, misfiring, but I'm pretty sure we won't see that, because there is similar mechanics to the tabletop orcs when they on random can attack like your friends, and that didn't make it into the game, so I'm pretty sure that won't also, which is, you know, a bit of a shame, but yeah, well, it would be hard to implement. This one would be easier to implement, still I don't think it will make it. Another unit that is also weapon team is a rattling gun. And yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, depending on how powerful they are, maybe everything from 4 to 24 models. I would guess the price on them around 700, because they are just, you know, more elite. If they are like 24 and they are pretty powerful, they might cost 1000, but I don't think so. I don't think it will be the case. We can see like 12 units, but we haven't seen really 12 range units like that before. Yeah, there might be 12 of them. I feel that all the weapons teams should have same number of units, because they are basically the same. So yeah, and those guys they practically have a minigun and they shoot the enemy. Would be pretty fun to watch. Wonder how the ammo will be, you know, resolved in this situation. There will be either lots of it and it will be dropping very fast, or there will be salvos, like serious and then reload time, and serious and reload time, and I think it will be rather be the former. I mean, yeah, actually rather be the latter than the former. Then we have another interesting thing, a Doom Flyer. These are like small chariot-like machines. Would be interesting to see them implemented similar as Wolf Chariots, with a number of, I don't know, like 6 or maybe 12. They are, you know, pretty powerful, but not that reliable. I would put their cost, no matter of the unit size, around 800, because we are just going to the better and better units, right? So I think it will be around 800 for that unit. It will be depending on really how powerful this device is, and if even it will make in the game. What I'm pretty sure will make into the game is Warp Fire Thrower. Now those guys are just beautiful, and I would expect from them pretty much the same as from Iron Drakes. Similar cost, similar numbers. Maybe actually all the weapon teams will be like Iron Drakes. That would make a lot of sense, you know? So yeah, I would actually bet on that. Then we have that is it for your weapon teams, and now let's go to the special units. Well, in tabletop they are called special units. These are Plague Monks, and I would put them in 120, 6 to 800 depending on their strength. They are slower than the most, but pretty powerful creatures, and pretty tough also, unlike most other Skaven units. And that's it. This is a shock troop that is like slower, 120, 600 to 800 costs. I think something like that. Let's say like very bad Forsaken. Yeah, but you know, there is lots of them, so Then we'll have poison wind glob globadiers. That's how they call it. Poison wind globadiers. So they are guys who throws poison globes at the enemy. And again, as before, I would say pretty much the same numbers as Iron Graves, but those guys have smaller range. Probably 500, I want to say 500 around. It would be fun to get all the poison units at start, because there is a possibility we'll get DLC with all the plague units and poison units later on, but I don't think that will be the case. Similar way as we got some new units for Empire and some new units for vampires with a Grim and Grave. But yeah, I feel this will be the case. They will make it in the game. They will cost around 500. Low range, you know, because they draw those things. And then we have a very interesting unit indeed. Those are Warlock Javelins, and yeah, I think unit of 12 or 24, maybe 12. Haven't really seen a unit of 12, but they are pretty elite. They are pretty powerful, very powerful actually. I would put their cost about 1000. They have a very good range. As you can see, those are not normal guns. Not that accurate, even with a scope. So there's that. But yeah, that would be a unit that will be quite nice to see in a fight. Probably also very low reload rate, like with Iron Graves. Most likely, you know, single salva that is absolutely devastating on quite decent range, and then long reload time. I would like to use those guys. Then we have advanced Night Runners. Those guys are gutter runners, and I would see them as same unit as Night Runners, but more powerful. So the cost may be like 800. They do have poison, they do have vanguard, they do have stealth. I mean, I'm pretty sure they will. But so are the Night Runners, vanguard and stealth. The same numbers, and numbers would strongly depend on the whether they are skirmisher or combined unit or hybrid unit, if you will, or the melee unit. But I feel there will be hybrid unit, probably 90, 120, something like that. Now let's go to the fun part. These are Dragon Ogres, and I would definitely see them as 12, around, you know, 1000, 1200. 1200 would actually be very nice because they are like ogres but faster. Very nice morph of rat and ogre done with the help of Warpstone basically. And I would love to see those guys in a game. They actually can cost even more, like 1500. I'm pretty sure about 12 units in a 12 models in a unit. They will be very cool to use, like Minos, similar to Minos, because they are quite fast, they are very hard hitting, so yeah, that would be cool. Then we have Plague Sensor Bearers. While those guys do have separate model in the tabletop, I feel the way they should be implemented in the Warhammer, in the Total War Warhammer version, would be as an upgrade to Plague Monks, same way as we have Night Goblins and Night Goblin Fanatics, and they would pretty much do the same thing, just, you know, run around with just big flail and destroy everything in their path. So yeah, that's pretty much how I would see them. If they would be separate units, I don't know. I mean, like extreme shock unit, 120, like, you know, Flaglands or something similar. Then we have something very cool indeed, because I like Chariots and I feel I will love those. These are Doom Wheels and I see them 12, I mean 4 models in the unit, cost 1200 and more might be like 1500 even. This is not only hitting everything that is in front of it, but it's also sprouting warp lightnings to the sides. So this is quite a destruction machine. And because I love Chariots, I would love to see this one in action. Slightly bigger, so you're painting a bullseye on the unit for all those cannons and stuff. But yeah, well, I would still like it. Then we have Hell Pit Abomination, and that would obviously be a single model unit with cost of 1500 and more. They have no armor, lots and lots of health. In tabletop they actually have ability that if they are killed, they can just shake it off and go back, which would translate to lots of health in the tabletop. They are slower, but they will be probably like Shagots, like less armor and slower, but possibly more health and more powerful when they hit. Or they will just cost less, like, you know, 1500, 1400, but still be a total machine of destruction, just slower than Shagots. Then we have Storm Fiends, and those guys, I just don't know. I mean, they are like they're a very recent addition. I'm thinking like even if they make it in the game, I don't know, like unit of 12, 24. Hard to say. A lot of money for sure. A lot of money. More than 1000, I'd say. And then we have Wolf Rats. And Wolf Rats will be pretty much the same as any other, you know, unit like a Hounds. 450 cost, 500 depending on the stats. Yeah, the same number of in the 80, if my memory serves me well. Yeah, that would be very cool unit, because this is the only unit in those guys in the Skaven army that's actually fast. And as you've seen, they don't really have a cav. The heroes and lords can have mounts, but ranked and file guys don't. And that is a weakness of this army. These are the only guys that are really fast in them. But they do have artillery, so they will be similar to dwarves in this, you know, particular case. Now, first one is actually, I should have showed you previous one before, because these are Flameclaw Catapults, and obviously, so like for cost probably like 600. They are not very powerful, at least in tabletop they are not powerful, but they do, you know, poison, and if that poison is strong and many guys would suffer from it, they might be quite powerful. Cost might go up from it. And then we have like beautiful warp lightning cannons. We'll most likely have to get somewhere in the tech tree to get them, but they are just beautiful. They are not so expensive in tabletop, so most likely 4 units per artillery, maybe like 1000 cost, you know, and they will throw warp lightning, so this is a magical unit. So, you know, goodbye Ken Rights and Hex Rights and whatever. And also they are pretty powerful on their own. They have some interesting misfire possibilities in tabletop, but that's not going to happen. No, not in Total War game. And finally, finally, we are coming to heroes. And the first hero is Chieftain. So this is your basic melee hero. You know, nothing really much to say about him. He's weaker than, say, a paladin or captain. So I'd say something between big boss and captain, maybe. Nothing interesting. But what is interesting is Warlock Engineer, Warlock Engineer. So those guys are range heroes that have warp lightning skill, and this is a skill. I mean, I do imagine them in this way, so they can cast those lightning similar way as the dwarves runesmith has damaging ability. And these are range heroes, maybe similar to master engineers, maybe some skills to boost the units. I'm not sure really, but I would really like to see them. Then we have plague priests. They can get on the plague furence, and in general they can be very dangerous. Those are only heroes. I don't know, I just don't know if they would be cool to see them, but there is lots of heroes in here, and I don't think each one will get in the game, so I don't know. Not really that useful. Yeah, poisoning is fun, but maybe making the poison unit stronger? Maybe, I don't know. Then we have something that must be into the game. This is Assassin. So pretty much your versus boss unit that is actually also a very good agent that can kill enemy lords and heroes. I would definitely make him into the game, but there's not really much more that I can tell about him. Now, we also, in any other faction, we have a caster hero. We don't have a caster hero in the tabletop, but we can take like lords, and the Grey Seer is the lord, so I feel there should be like a lesser Grey Seer for the heroes, because, you know, they don't really have any spellcasters, so they have to have some. And the Lord can be only one per army, so yeah, I feel we will get some Seers in this game. And they do have their own lore of magic. As for the Lords, we have Vermin Lord, and this is awesome little Lord. Will he make it in the game? I don't know. He's a demon, really. So he's very powerful. He's quite expensive. But he's quite powerful. He's fast, he's decent at melee, but he can run. He's a demon, but he can run still, so it's like Skaven-like. Yeah, we might see him, we might not see him. It would be cool if we do see him, but yeah, many other factions has just only 2 picks for the Lord, so maybe we won't see him, because your standard melee Lord is a Warlord, and the Warlord very much possibly the same as Chieftain will have a few different mounts. I really see different mounts on the heroes before and lords. Warlord is your standard melee lord, nothing interesting there. He can get a giant fox rat mount, which is not particularly speedy and not particularly powerful, not particularly great mass, so what's the point really? In general, Skaven mounts do not have the one quality that you would expect from mounts, and that is speed. Anyhow, aside from giant fox rat, we have a brute color, which is larger glowing rat. And this one is, yeah, well, it's like upgraded one, maybe. There is also some interesting other options like War Leader, which is actually pretty similar thing that the Thorgrim Grudgebearer has. You are being carried on a platform that is, you know, on the backs of some Skaven. And finally, you can get a Rat Ogre mount, and I would really like to see that in a Total War game, because it's easy to implement. You will already have Rat Ogres, so a Lord on the Rat Ogre that goes in the fight, that would be beautiful sight indeed. And finally we have Grazier, which will be your standard caster character who can be mounted on the Screaming Bell. Yeah, I would like to see that. Screaming Bell is boosting, basically it's a very strange contraption. I have no idea how it will work in the Warhammer universe, because it casts spells at random and can make your Interpreter can make your guys go into the Berserk or can destroy something. Yeah, a little strange. Not really. Maybe we'll have different versions like we have with corpse cards right now. Right? Maybe. Would be interesting to see that. And finally, let's go into the Legendary Lords. And the first Legendary Lord is the Lord Screech Vermin King, who is Legendary Vermin Lord. So he's a demon, as you can see, and he's very powerful, and he probably won't be in the game. Just like the Vlad didn't make in the first installment. I mean, I would really like to see him, but he's way more powerful than other Legendary Lords that Skaven have, and he should. Although, I mean, we have Kolek, so maybe? If we have Kolek, why not? Skaven, they might have a single unit that is actually powerful, wouldn't be so bad. Then we have I don't actually Scroll. I don't know how to spell his name. Scroll. He's your basically legendary Plague Priest, and will he make it to Legendary Lords? I don't know. Maybe. I don't like him. I don't know. There is lots of options, and I just really don't see very good ones. I mean, except for one, and we'll get into that shortly. I don't know. I mean, he's a pick, right? We might get this one. We might get other ones. There is worse options than him. The next Legendary Lord, and I again might be botching this name very badly, is Tumko and the Bone Reaper, who is quite an interesting melee lord, as you can see, with on the very special Rat Ogre, as you can see. Would be very cool to see him. Actually, he would make a decent Legendary Lord. Will he make it to the game? I don't know really, but what I'm pretty sure about is the next guy, and this is Ikit Claw, who is, again, I might be pronouncing this absolutely wrong, who is a Zier, who is in magical armor that makes him very decent melee fighter, so something along the lines of Archeon, but slightly weaker. I feel he really definitely should make into the Legendary Lord, because he's a caster. I mean, the Demon Lord also is, but at least in tabletop. But he would be a very cool character, as you can see, obviously. Then, oh, actually, sorry about that. I thought this one is bigger. I really thought I must have downloaded the wrong image. So this one is Deathmaster's Knigch. Sorry, those names are really hard to pronounce. He's your basically legendary assassin. Probably will not make it in the game. Yeah, probably not. But it would be. He is an option that Creative Assembly might get. And finally, Treach Craven Tail. I'm hoping this is right. He's an interesting little fellow because in the tabletop he's good at boosting other units like slaves and clan rats, stuff like that. Normally your every melee hero would have such skill tree basically when he will be boosting all those units at first 4 skills that he will be able to choose after the aura. You know, basically your red tree that you will be able to increase that. I don't know, it's just one of the guys that stand out for me, and we might see him. Maybe we'll see him. I don't know. Anyhow, I'm sorry about the names for those guys. I should have before I put before I wrote them down. I should have listened to a video of how they are actually pronounced. Anyhow, I don't really see like a sure bet legendary lords. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind Lord Scratch, Vermin King, or ET12. That would be cool. But Huangang and Bone Reaper are also very cool. We will see. We'll just have to see. It's not really that important in this case because the legendary lords for those guys are not particularly powerful and not particularly well established in the lore. They are not Colleg, they are not Karl Franz, they are not Thorgrim Grudgebearer, you know. Anyhow, this is pretty much it. I hope you like it, even though I messed up the last part of the video. If you did, press like. If you want to comment, please leave a comment. And I also would like to recommend my other videos from the Total War Warhammer DLC and mechanics videos, and my Let's Plays with Total War games, but also different games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.